All right. Okay, I'm going to call the roll. I'm going to leave the screen. So, who is Solo 103? Who is Solo 103?
That's me, Ever Winston. This is my personal email.
Okay. All right. All right, folks. I'm going to take the roll. I have to leave the screen. So if somebody pops up, I won't see you. Okay. All right. Jeremiah Albert, Jaron Barnes, Richard,
Yeah.
Breon Brumfield,
I'm here.
Deja Davis,
Here.
Kyle Fulton,
Here.
Sierra Gaines,
Here.
Tia Green,
Here.
Jordan,
Here.
Jibrion,
Here.
Cove,
Here.
Renee Lyons, Naisenia Mafi, Mr. Oreki,
I'm right here.
Jasmine Patterson, Jasmine Patterson, Ashley, Ashley Sco,
Here.
Timothy Shorts, Timothy Shorts, Elena Taylor,
Here.
Spencer Tillman,
Here.
Miss Turner,
Here.
Chloe, Chloe Veal, Devante,
I'm here.
Ever,
Here.
Darlinda,
Here.
Nataja.
Here.
All right, folks. One last call, Jeremiah Albert. Jeremiah's here. Okay, he's not here. Jaron Barnes.
Yeah.
Okay, Jaron's here. Okay. Renee Lyons. Naisenia Mafi. Jasmine Patterson.
Here.
Okay. Timothy Shorts. And Chloe Veal.
Here.
Okay, Chloe's here. Okay, great. All right, folks. So let's get started. We do actually have one last group of terms to look at to add to our visual analysis tools. So I'm gonna open up this assignment and put up the share screen. All right. So did everybody get a chance to view the exhibition in the art gallery?
When I went to go to the room, it was closed.
Yeah,
I
Right.
couldn't open it.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna have it opened up today at about 12, and it'll be open all day tomorrow. So I'll extend out the deadline to Thursday.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, so
Um,
all righty. Okay, so now this is chapter 3, last section. I pushed this assignment back to November 12th. And so we're going to cover this last basket of terms. So let's get started. And this deals with the element of color. Okay, so what we have here are a series. We have quite a few color charts. You won't be expected to memorize them, but you know they're very self-explanatory on how they work. So let's talk about color. Color is an important element of many artworks. If you look carefully at the ways in which the artist uses color, for example, refer to the color wheel and note what hues the artist uses. Is the artwork monochromatic or does it use many hues? Okay, so monochromatic is a word that simply means, you know, the mono part means word one, you know, and chroma means color. So a monochromatic study is a art piece that is based around one color. So are the colors saturated? Do they have a high chroma? Okay, so let's take a look at this. This is a traditional 12-step color wheel using artist colors. So the colors that are highlighted or emboldened, these are your primary colors. So we have yellow, and then a next primary is green, then blue, then violet, then red, and then orange. And then you have the hues, which are the combinations of these primaries. So in between yellow and green, you have yellow green. All right. In between green and blue, you have blue green. In between violet and blue, you have blue violet. In between red and violet, you have red violet. In between red and orange, you have red orange, and then orange and yellow. Okay, so a sampling of chroma, tone, and shades and tints in green hue. Okay, so what we have here are our dark values. So this is a black, and then dark gray, and then it works its way up to light gray. And then on the other side, we have our gray values on this side, and then we have our tinted and chroma values on the other side. So we have green that is tinted with white. Okay, so the white makes the green paler, and then we have the green that's tinted with black. So this is something that you do with all colors. And then once you have established, you know, what the tint of the color will be, then you consider it in terms of its value in regards to lightness and shadow in a composition. Okay. Next page. Okay, examine the use of colors to see whether they are analogous or complementary colors. Basically, are the colors warm or cool? Do you notice any visual effects such as optical color mixing? Finally, think about the psychological and expressive effects of color in the artwork. So this is something that you would consider with your visual analysis chart. What are the psychological and expressive effects of color in the artwork? Do the colors elicit an emotional response from the viewer or express the emotions of the artist? So let's take a look. We have primary and secondary analogous combinations. So we have red, we have blue, and we have yellow. And these are some combinations of these, primary and secondary. So if we remember on the chart, the space between red and yellow is yellow-red, or the space between yellow and orange is orange-red. So that's what the solid color is the primary, and the mixed, you know, that's these inner colors, and the outer colors are the secondary. Then we have primary, secondary, and tertiary color complements. So tertiary simply means you have your primary, which is the original color. Then you have your secondary, which is the original color mixed with two primary original colors mixed. And then you have your tertiary, which is a primary, a second, which is usually two secondary colors that are mixed. Okay, so these color combinations and complements and pigments, that's what these are. And then you have, as mentioned up above, optical color mixing. So if we look at these images, we have two squares, one filled with red and blue dots and the other with red and yellow dots to create optical color mixing effects. The first mixture looks purple while the second blends to orange. So these are the two primary colors, these two circles, and these are the optical color mixing effects. When you reduce the size of these to very, very small dots, you get the optical color blending. And the same thing with this, you get a type of orange based on the grouping of the optical effects. Okay.
Dr. Barnes.
Yes. Who is this?
It's Chloe.
Hey, Chloe.
Are you recording this video?
Yes. Yes, I am.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Now, just because I'm recording it doesn't mean that you stop listening or you
Oh no,
do
I'm
something
still
else.
listening.
It sounds a little complicated, but when you play it back, it's going to make a lot of sense. Okay,
Yeah.
so we have time and motion, and all of this is in the next assignment that won't be viewable to you all until next week because this isn't due until the 12th. Okay, so we have time and motion. Does the artwork in some way communicate the passage of time? For example, it may tell a story or narrate a series of events. If the artwork you have chosen is in such a medium as film or video, the passage of time may be an important aspect of the artwork. You all remember the time and motion option on your visual analysis chart? And I always say, don't worry about that unless we're going to be dealing with a film or a performance. That's what they're referring to. So now consider whether the artwork involves motion in any way. Remember that even a static artwork, such as a painting, drawing, or sculpture, can express motion. And I'm going to repeat this. It's very important. Even a static artwork, when they use the word static, they mean something that doesn't move. Remember that even a static artwork, such as a painting, drawing, or sculpture, can express motion. If the work is static, is motion implied, or does the work convey an illusion of motion? If your chosen artwork is a film or video, a happening, or a performance, time and motion are essential aspects of the work. Finally, consider whether the work involves actual motion. In other words, is it a kinetic work of art? Kinetic work of art simply means it is a work of art that has moving parts. Notice any moving parts and ask yourself why the artist chose motion as a significant aspect of the work. Okay, all right. So now we're going to get to unity, another question on the visual analysis chart that we hadn't covered yet. Unity, does the artwork express a carefully controlled order or wholeness? Basically, did the artist express unity in the work? Or in contrast, is it disordered or even chaotic, which means intentionally lacking in unity? Some of you probably would have referred to Sanford Bigger's quilt that way if you knew that was an option. Consider aspects of the work that express unity or its opposite, disunity. For example, are similar aspects of the composition repeated throughout the pardon me, are similar aspects of the composition repeated throughout to create visual harmony? Is there a unifying conceptual aspect to the work? Conceptual refers to ideas. For example, do its different aspects all relate to an overall idea or emotion, such as liberty, justice, or happiness? So let's take a look at these three diagrams of compositional unity. Okay, so we have A, B, and C. So if we look to the far left where we see A, this composition is unified but lacks the visual interest of B. Okay, so this is unified, meaning this series of white rectangles and black rectangles and squares, as well as these horizontal and vertical axi, they combine to make a unified form. It's unified because it looks finished and complete. Okay, so, but according to them, Block B has more visual interest. Although there are several different shapes and planes in this composition, it is well balanced across the three parts marked by the horizontal straight lines. So we have this top part, we have the middle part, and the bottom part. Okay, and then we have C. This is a unified work, but its visual variety makes it feel incoherent and chaotic. All right, so do we agree with that? Anybody want to comment? I'll take your silence as an agreement. You know, in court, your silence is viewed as an agreement. If somebody accuses you of doing something and you don't defend yourself, you just sit back and listen, it's almost like an admission of guilt, because silence is agreement. Always remember that, folks. Okay, so now we have a painting. Okay, so before we get started, this actually this is a print, a Japanese print. Now we see these alphabets and arrows. This is not part of the composition. This was added to it by the people who made the text, so we could discuss it. Okay, so this is a print by Katsushika Hokusai, The Great Wave Offshore at Kanagawa. And this is from 36 Views of Mount Fiji, 1826 to 33. This is a color woodcut print. All right, so now we're going to look at the corresponding alphabets. A, Mount Fiji almost blends into the ocean. So A is not a wave or a crest of water. It is the mountain in question, Mount Fiji. Okay, and when we look at the letter B, white caps on the waves mimic the snow on Mount Fiji, creating a sense of the mountain's presence throughout the scene. And then we have C. Solid shape of the great wave curves around the deep trough beneath it, uniting the two areas. I do agree on that, but I have to say that the way this artist handled the white caps of the waves, as well as the snowy peak of the mountain, I think the mountain, for me, it just gets caught up with all of this other water action, which is exactly what Unity does. Okay, so this is an example of three elements that are unified in the composition. You have the cresting wave, or C, you have the white caps, B, and you have the snowy mountaintop of Mount Fuji. Okay, now let's move to variety. What aspects of the artwork give it variety? This is not the image, this is the image. Consider value, texture, color, shape, and other elements of art. What effect does the variety have on the viewer? Does it suggest unity or a lack of unity? So Jordan, does this black and white image appear unified to you, or does it not appear unified?
Before I answer that, my computer is making funny sounds. So if you hear it, that's just it doing. I don't know why it's doing that, but I'll answer. I would say you could say it's unified because the shapes are in that square. But to me, I see more variety because you have lighter shapes, you have darker shapes that that attract you and move your eye across the square. That's what I would say.
Okay, very good. Very good. Does anyone else have any comments that they'd like to make? How about you, Chloe? Does this box of images appear do they suggest unity or a lack of unity?
I would say maybe a lack of unity
Okay, okay. And why is
because
that?
it's not grouping as one. Like it doesn't come together as one.
Okay, all right. Very good. See, and that's as simple as that's the only amount of energy it takes. It's all based on you as an individual. Uh let's see, anyone else have any comments? Does this appear to be unified or does it suggest a lack of unity? Anyone can comment.
I'd say it's unified in the fact that it's all in black and white and that they don't have any color.
Okay, very good. Very good. Anyone else have a comment? I'm kind of leaning on it appearing unified only because the shapes don't appear unified, nor the tones of the black, white, and grays. But the fact that you have 4 rows of 3 lined up vertical objects gives it a sense of unity. But at the same time, I can appreciate the variety of the shapes. So I do notice the variety. Okay. See, this is all very relative, is it not? No one can tell you that you don't see what you see and that no one can tell you what's in your heart. No one can tell you that you're not moved by something the way you're moved by it. Okay, all right. Now we're on to the element, the principle of balance. Okay, so before we start reading the passage, what we're looking at is the one of the 7 wonders of the world. This is the Taj Mahal, located in India, in Agra, India. I'm going to give you a brief history on this before we get started. This monument has all of the elements of Islamic architecture. You have large arched doorways and entryways and windows. You have a dome with a tip at it with a point. And then you have these 4 pillars, these 4 towers at all the corners. And then it's supported by flanking twin structures that are equally spaced apart from the middle form. And then you have this very, very long green walkway that leads to this. It's green on the picture, but this is a body of water. It leads to this body of water. So this is very much classical Islamic architecture. It's done in a very meticulous way. It has millions of mathematically placed ceramic tiles. All right. Okay, so balance. Examine the artwork for any elements that give it balance. Are the same or similar elements repeated throughout the work? So these are the things you look for. So when you do your visual analysis and it comes to the balance question, it's asking you, do you see any elements that give it balance? Are the same or similar elements repeated throughout the work, or do elements of similar visual weight balance one another out? It will be helpful to see if you can detect symmetrical, asymmetrical, or radial balance. So just for a refresher, Symmetrical refers to like a healthy person's face. You see you see the same thing on the left side of the face as you see on the right side of the face. Then you have asymmetrical for somebody who maybe ran into somebody's fist, and now one side of their face is swollen and the other side looks the same. Or radial balance, which is something we're going to look at shortly. To determine whether the artwork is symmetrically balanced, imagine that a line divides it horizontally or vertically into two equal parts. Can you see any elements that are repeated on both sides of the line? So look at me. If there's a line directly down the middle of my face vertically and directly across my face horizontally, do you see any elements that are repeated on both sides of the line? Hopefully you don't see anything on the horizontal, but you get what we're saying. If the artwork is not symmetrically balanced, it may be that the artist used elements of different visual weight to achieve the balance. For example, is a large figure or object on one side of an imaginary dividing line balanced by several smaller figures. Another possible kind of balance is radial balance or symmetry. The garden at the Taj Mahal is planned in such a way that each design element is repeated equidistant from a central point, giving a sense of harmony and perfection. So looking at this Taj Mahal, this long green path, it cuts all this. This is your line that shows the balance, and you have almost the exact same things on either side of it. So you have two towers on the right, you have two towers on the left. You have a small structure on the right, you have another small structure on the left, and they're all equally presented in height and scale. You have very well managed gardens that are equal on both sides. So it is definitely, and if you look in even closer, these patches of green space have manicured walkways around them that give them that textile-like pattern. Very incredible place. So this is the Taj Mahal, designed by Ustad Ahmad Lahroui, Abd al-Karim Mamur Khan, and Mak Ramat Khan, commissioned by Shah Jahan. Now, this is significant to India because India is primarily a Hindu nation, but it was taken over by the Islamists in the late 1500s, and so this was a tribute to the conquest of this part of India by the Islamics. And this is the part of India where the complexion of the people is more paler, and so they don't deal with dark skinned or brown skinned people at all. They refer to them as the untouchables. All right, so let's take a look at the next principle. All right, so this is the golden section, also referred to as the golden mean or golden ratio. This is definitely something you will see on a test. This occurs in many natural objects and gives naturalistic results when applied to statues. Artists have learned to apply proportional formulas to organize their compositions and ensure that their work is visually interesting. One such technique is known as golden rectangles, which involves nesting a succession of rectangles, all based on the 1:1:6:18 proportions of the golden section inside one another. The shorter side of the outer rectangle becomes the longer side of the smaller rectangle inside of it, and so on. The result is an elegant spiral shape. Okay, so this goes back to ancient Egypt, and this is based on the antenna of a bee. So this is the golden section. You see the broken lines, how it creates a spiral inside of each of these rectangles. So we have a square with a smaller square, with a smaller square, with a smaller square. So it's kind of like a flight of stairs going down. All right. And so when we look at this in a work of art and we look at the placement of elements, we see that principle at work. We have these two figures in the foreground. You have this one figure in the background. Actually, it's three figures in the foreground. But if you look at their placement in the composition, it fits up with the golden mean. All right. Okay, pattern. Can you identify any repetition of an element, such as shape, value, or color in the artwork that creates a pattern? Okay, a pattern is a design or colored repeated as a unit in a pattern is called a motif. A motif in an artwork might be the repetition of a flower, leaves, or animals, but it could also be the repetition of a geometrical design. Rhythm is the ordered or regular repetition of elements in a work. So remember on your visual analysis chart, it asks you about rhythm and pattern. So rhythm is the ordered or regular repetition of elements in a work. Can you identify any elements in the artwork that create rhythm? Can you identify any elements in the artwork that have an ordered or regular repetition? So it's like a beat. Boom, 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 boom. Identify the type of rhythm used. Is it simple, repetitive rhythm? Is it progressive rhythm? Or is it alternating rhythm? So this is a part of how you're going to describe rhythm on your visual analysis chart. All right, so the visual analysis chart also asks you about the design principles of focal point, emphasis, and subordination. Has the artist used any elements of the artwork to draw attention to particular parts or aspects of the work? That's your emphasis. That is the artist using elements of the artwork to draw attention to particular parts or aspects of it. How does the artist direct the viewer's eye to the focal point? For example, does the artist use line, contrast, placement, or some other method? I think we were looking at the Last Supper piece, and the artist Leonardo da Vinci used linear perspective to draw the viewer's eye to the Christ figure in the middle of the long rectangular table. Okay, so on the other hand, has the artist drawn attention away from particular parts or aspects of the work? That is subordination. Peter Bruegel's painting, Landscape with the Fall of Icarus, illustrates a story from Greek mythology. Daedalus and his son Icarus are imprisoned on the island of Crete by the ruler Minos. They try to escape using homemade wings, but Icarus flies too close to the sun and the wax attaching his wings melts, causing him to fall and drown. When we look at the artwork, our attention is drawn first to the figure. Actually, I'm going to ask you where your attention is drawn. Okay, so Devante, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, where does your eye go first when you look at this composition?
I look at the lady because of the bright colors on her sleeves.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so let's continue reading. When we look at the artwork, our attention is drawn first to the figure in the red smock who plows his field, unaware of the tragedy. Next, we might notice the tree on the left or the large ship on the right. Okay, we have a ship on the right. I actually really didn't notice the tree. I think my eyes went to this donkey before the tree. Okay. All right. Unaware of the tragedy. Next, you might notice the tree to the left or the large ship on the right. It is easy to miss poor Icarus drowning in front of the large ship, his feet hardly distinguishable from the white caps and the teeny seabirds circling near the vessel. So Icarus is out here somewhere. Oh, I see him. This appears to be Icarus in front of the boat, but I had to really, really look for it. Okay. Bruegel has gone to such lengths to draw attention away from the plight of his subject that art historians think he is illustrating the Flemish proverb, "No plow stands still because a man dies," or as we say, life goes on. For either way, it is a brilliant example of using emphasis and subordination to direct and control the way in which the viewer perceives the painting. Yeah, if I didn't know what this was about, I would not make the connection to Icarus drowning at all. You have some legs here. I guess this is him falling in the water. This guy is just going about his business. All righty. I believe this is the last page. Okay, this is the visual analysis chart. We all know about that. Let me make sure I didn't miss a page. Okay, yeah, so that is it with our end of chapter 3 and the end of us covering our design principles and elements and the ways that they interact with artwork. So you don't have any homework today. You won't have any homework again until we have an assignment due Friday, but you don't have any homework due today or Wednesday. So anyway, folks, you enjoy the rest of your day. And I'll make sure that the gallery is open all day tomorrow so you can get by to get your bonus points for the Sean Clark exhibition. But we have to use all of this stuff in our visual analysis, okay?
Wait, are you
Enjoy your
gonna
day.
post a picture?
Oh, thank you.
Wait. There's a lot of people talking at once. So one at a time.
Are you gonna post a picture of the artwork? The exhibit?
No, you're going to go to the art gallery and you're going to use your visual analysis chart to analyze a work of art in the art gallery.
All right, and this is for bonus points?
Mm-hmm.
If we don't do it, will it bring our grade down?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions?
You said we got till Thursday, right?
Yes.
All right. So will it be open Tuesday and Wednesday?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, folks. So you enjoy the rest of your day. It must be nice to not have any intro to visual art homework to worry about, you know. So enjoy that. But you know, a good practice would be to do the bonus point assignment. You all have a great rest of your day.
You too, Mr. Barnes.
You too.
Thank you.
Mhm.